honestly didn't think we would ever do another commentary on this channel, but here we are.
This is three commentaries in one.
This is a three.
This is not a threesome.
3-man crew.
Whoa.
This is a three-way conversation.
Yeah, so I just decided try something new for the channel, and it's going to be more of a podcast-style conversation, just going over Battlefield 6 with the beta just wrapping up about a week ago. Figured we would just go over our initial thoughts and impressions, everything we liked, some things we didn't like, maybe offer some advice or things that could be adjusted or changed. I know not much time to go before the full release, so who knows? But if some random DICE developer clicks on this nobody video, then you never know.
I mean, we were featured one time on their Instagram, so...
Yeah, and it was not due to our high-skill gameplay. It was literally just Jeremy camping in a roof and getting hit by a plane.
That was BF1.
Barely surviving.
The highlight of our channels, Jeremy camping in a roof, getting hit by a plane.
It took the roof off. Oh, man.
So, yeah. So, this may be the start of something new. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. We may do some more of these. But anyway, so I guess starting off, what did everybody think? Just overall impressions of the beta.
That's pretty fun. What I did get to play anyways. I really hope I can spend more time playing once it comes out, because the anticipation coming from work when the first beta came, really all I could think about was just trying to play it all day. I could not do anything at work because I was watching people stream it.
Yeah. Yep. And we haven't had that kind of anticipation for a Battlefield game in, like, I don't know, 10 years.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they really upped their game, which is about time. It's kind of crazy what happens when you listen a little bit more to your fan base.
Yeah.
Don't try to go backwards with your franchise whatsoever.
Yeah. So I think overall the tone of the game, the setting, the modern setting is exactly what we've been asking for a long time now. So it's great that they're finally nailing that aspect of it. And I guess just like keeping everything grounded. The skins so far seem to be pretty generic, which is a good thing. So they've said in several posts and several tweets from the developers that they're going to try to keep things that way, but that remains to be seen. I'm sure we'll have some premium skins in the store eventually that will probably upset a few folks, but I just hope they at least keep everything as realistic and military themed as possible.
Yeah, I don't want to be playing as Nicki Minaj running around.
Or Beavis's butthead. I think the beta both weekends playing as much as we did. I think it was great. I think it was back to what we want. I think it was. Obviously you're going to have things that you need to fix and things that you have to get the fans to point out, or especially the going out of bounds. It's not cheating, it's just exploiting what the build was. That's my philosophy. But the gameplay felt tons better. It's good to be able to use the gun.
I think the one of the big standouts was the performance. Like I don't think I crashed once. I had a couple of loading screen, like stuck on the loading screen. I had to reboot the game, but other than that, I think it worked flawlessly, which is unheard of for a Battlefield beta.
Oh yeah.
I had a little bit of problems, but I don't know if that's just because of what I have in my system or not. But
yeah,
because it was weird though, because like I would have like okay frame rate until I opened Discord. I don't know what that was, but it would drop my frame rate by like 30 or 40 frames.
Yeah.
I know I was freaking out because I wasn't sure that my system would be able to handle, but it did flawless. I think I stayed about 100 frames the entire time. Never had a crash, never had a glitch. Not one time. It was just absolutely just fun to be able to play a Battlefield game again, because I'm not counting 2042 as a Battlefield game.
Yeah, and another cool thing that I've been seeing a lot is there's been a ton more interest of people trying to build new PCs and upgrade their PCs just for this game, which is something we saw with BF3 and BF4, especially for me, because BF3 was really the first game that actually got me into PC gaming. I built or bought a pre-built PC, which is, don't recommend that, but you know, it's if you're in the market for one and you're not too confident in your skills, I can understand that, but just don't go with the brand that I went with. But that's another story. So anyway, yeah, I just think it's awesome that you have Battlefield back on the market. That's actually stirring up so much interest, making people excited, getting things hyped again. And then, like I said, the stability in the beta was great for me, at least. I didn't really have any issues there. Not too many bugs, which, you know, if anyone played the 2042 beta, much less the technical playtest, I guess I still can't share anything from that because technically it was never, the NDA on that was never lifted, but I think I still have some old recordings from the initial 2042 technical playtest. My gosh, it is the most hilarious thing you've ever seen, how horrible that game was in that technical playtest. I'm talking, it was like the game itself was locked at 30 frames per second. There were helicopters floating across the map, no propellers, nothing, just hovering across the map.
I remember that.
Skins, like the character models would not load in, and you would just have Play-Doh men running through the bushes. Like, I mean, it was. I just remember my initial reaction to getting in that technical playtest, thinking, "Oh Lord, we are in trouble," and we certainly were. So, just comparing that to even the I guess I can technically talk about this since a lot of the guys that's been in the labs playtests are allowed to talk about it, but I took part in the server load stress test that they did in labs a few months back, and just comparing that to the 2042 alpha was just night and day. Like I could tell straight away that we're in much better shape this go around, so that's very, very relieving to see. I guess some other things, like another huge thing for me is the mouse input actually functions correctly. Now I know there's been some people that have found a few little bugs with the gunplay and recoil and things like that, which hopefully those get adjusted. But in the grand scheme of things, just loading into a match and moving your mouse around feels great compared to 2042, which is still broken to this day on an engine level. So
I don't think I mean, I basically just went in and just tweaked a couple little things, but I mean, you're right. As soon as you load in, you're ready to play. It's night and day difference from anything we've had in the last 10 years.
Yep. I think the other huge addition that they've showcased quite a bit is the new dragging revive animation. I think that's a huge. That's amazing. A huge win. Yeah, that's one of the biggest selling points, I think. And so that was actually going back to Battlefield 5. That was one of the things that they had teased for that game initially, was that you're going to be able to drag down teammates into cover, and I guess they were never able to quite get it to work, so it got scrapped from that game. So it's nice to finally have it implemented, and I think it works amazingly. It's such a cool addition. There's so many uses for it.
And you being able to lay down and crawl and then drag backwards in cover is also a big benefit. There's, especially with the flashlights looking at you with snipers and stuff, if you're able to drag somebody while laying down or able to get to them, that whole system worked really well. And those type systems, you know, normally can be broken, and it just wasn't. I think I only had one glitch through the entire beta. I had one match where I had no gun, but I was still able to shoot.
Yeah, I had the same problem. Funny. I don't know what that was.
Would that be classified as a glitch, or is that just a straight upgrade because you don't have your gun blocking your field of view?
Well, that was
it helps and hurts at the same time.
It didn't matter if I died or went to the settings menu. Nothing. It didn't. It just that entire match I was completely glitched. So it did kind of help.
It did the same thing. The only thing that was good about that was running the shotgun. Because you can run the shotgun and you don't have anything, but if you're trying to aim down sights, try to shoot somebody halfway across the map, I don't know. Honestly, it was pretty okay.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think I did better with. I think I did better without having any screen.
Pellets
And we-
coming out of your chest.
we didn't have any infrared scopes to play around with in the beta, but I had that same or similar glitch happen in 2042. And with the plus system in that game, I was able to switch to an infrared scope without having a gun on my screen. So I was basically walking around with predator vision. That was awesome. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's also in Battlefield lore. Some of the bugs are just they're like part of the fun of the game.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I don't know if y'all saw with the with some of the new free pass stuff that they're giving away on 2042 right now. One of the player cards has the stretch man from BF3.
Yes. I laughed at that. I was really about to say that. I love that.
I mean, if we could get that as an actual in-game skin,
Just call it now.
yeah. And I mean,
Somebody's running across a barrier. All you see is their neck.
yeah.
I don't guess that would help too much with cover, but
And it could come with like a custom keybind for you to raise and lower the neck. Like, I mean, so yeah. Anyway, back on topic. So yeah, I think all those additions we talked about were pretty cool. So what? I guess here's the first kind of topic of debate. What are your guys' thoughts on the open versus closed weapons being locked to classes or not?
I think open weapons are like. It's good to be that way because doesn't it have like some sort of like some ability to it? It doesn't it kind of like depending on the class, like you can't use specific things or it doesn't handle as better.
Yeah, with the open playlists, it's their method of trying to push you towards playing with a certain weapon in a certain class is that they have I forget what they call it, but it's basically like an added bonus. So like if you're, for instance, if you're playing recon and you use a bolt action, I think you can hold your breath longer, you can rechamber around quicker, and then like SMGs on engineers have better hip fire, and I think better, like the sprint to aim penalty is slower for assault players if you're using assault rifles. So it's just little things like that kind of, they're like, yeah, we're going to let you use whatever gun you want, but we still recommend you use this gun in this class. I mean,
yeah, it's better that way.
I know there's a lot of Battlefield people that this is a hot topic, but I personally love it, and I'm glad that they do it that way. But I do hope that they do put in the release. You can play closed weapons, and if people want to play closed weapons, they can, or if you want to play open weapons, you do that. But I personally love the open weapons. I was playing a match of 2042 this morning, and I had a guy who got me and then teabagged me, and then I was able to switch. I was running engineer, so I was able to switch from the AR I was using to a sniper and take care of that, and then go back to my AR. I love being able to swap and use whatever I want to do, because I mainly use the sniper rifles anyway, or the DMRs. I love using those and some of the ARs, but I mainly use sniper rifles.
Yeah, and I think they have they pretty much confirmed that they're going to have both playlists available at launch. So I know a lot of people are worried about that splitting the player base, but I don't think it's really going to be an issue.
It's not going to be bad.
It's not something that's going to be too worrisome.
And me personally, I don't really care either way. Like, I consider myself more of a classic, like, purist for Battlefield. I think if I had to vote one way or the other right now, I would say let's just keep it locked because it's not broken. I don't think there's any reason to change it. But if they decide to go with open playlist, I'm fine with that too. So either way, I'm good with it.
I just like being able to run around with a LMG and still be able to revive and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my favorite. I just like mowing down people and still being able to hit the revives.
Yeah, I mean, being able to run what class you want to, and then also being able to run whatever gun you want to, I think is fine. But I'm either way. I'm 50-50 on it. It doesn't matter either way.
And I think that was kind of their original thought process, or they claim their reasoning behind opening the weapons up is because they felt in the past that people were picking classes not based on what that class is supposed to do necessarily, but because they had access to a certain weapon category. So they feel, I guess, like allowing you to pick whatever gun you want and then use that on any class kind of helps promote you to, I guess, still be able to play the class the way it's supposed to be played without having to worry about if you have the weapon you like. So,
Yep.
I'm fine with it. Another thing that I noticed that I was happy to see return is first-person knife animations. No more third-person Fortnite animations. So that was good to see.
Yeah, I only got a couple of. I only took a couple of tags the entire time, but I did. It is good to be able to just do that because you go into that animation and there's so much stuff happening around you. You go into an animation, you can't get out of the animation, and you want it to just be quick and keep moving, and it just would be so frustrating that you could not get out of the animation. I know all of us have screamed, "Oh my gosh, I'm in the animation, I can't get out."
Well, in 2042, I just purposely didn't knife anybody for that very reason.
Yeah. Yep.
There were instances in the beta for Battlefield 6 where I got stuck in a knife animation. Even though it's first person, it does take a little bit to complete that animation. So you still run into that. But just from a pure visual standpoint, I'm glad they went back to the first person. And it actually shows the dog tags of the person you took, which is a nice benefit for some of those players that like collecting all the in-game stuff. So moving on to some things that I wasn't so fond of and I would like to see adjusted. These are just not really complaints necessarily, but things that I think can be improved because, like we stated originally, I think we're in a very good state right now. The initial launch of the game should be in a for a stability standpoint should be okay. So I don't think there's really anything too serious to worry about. These are just things that can be adjusted or tweaked. So I have to start by my number one biggest complaint or something that I think needs to be adjusted more so than anything is the footstep audio.
Amen.
Yes. I don't know if it's just an issue with the mix or if it's something more deeper than that. Hopefully it's just a mix issue that they can crank the footsteps up a little bit louder. I think one thing that actually contributes the most to not being able to hear people is just how loud the ambient sounds are. Like it's cool, it's very immersive, but the explosions, the gunfire, everything that's happening around you is so loud in this game that it kind of covers up the footstep audio. And I play, I would say 80 to 90% by sound. And going back to 2042 for this free pass they're doing, I just instantly noticed how much better the footstep audio is.
Yeah.
It needs to be at least a little bit up. Like, they can keep the volume of everything, keep it super loud, but make it footsteps to where you can at least distinguish it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and playing, going back to playing 2042 is, as bad as we all know as that game was, the footsteps in it is just night and day. You can hear the distinct between your teammates and an enemy. But, when I had that glitch where I didn't have a gun, I actually also had a glitch of my audio, and it took all of the ambient noise out. And I actually was able to hear footsteps. The only thing I could hear were guns, tanks, or vehicles, and footsteps. And it helped a tremendous. So they're going to have to remix that because, the only way you were able to maybe be able to hear footsteps is with the war tapes. That was the only way I could possibly hear anything.
Well, and I think the biggest reason I think it's a mix issue is because in some of the smaller player count modes, like Domination, TDM, Rush, when there's not as many players, not as many things going off at one time, I could actually hear footsteps a little bit better. It still was not where it needs to be, but I noticed that on the smaller modes that I could actually hear some footsteps. So I just think, where we're at right now, it's extremely infuriating when you're playing an objective, you've cleared out most of the people on the flag, and then you get insta-killed from behind by a guy that's got his barrel literally in your back, and he made no sound whatsoever. That's unacceptable to me. So that's the biggest thing that needs to be tweaked, I would say. Another glaring issue, and this is not uncommon in Battlefield, especially in betas and early releases, is the netcode. There was quite a few issues with the netcode and the time to death. I think, TTK was a big topic of discussion. I think it's okay. I think the close quarters TTK could be raised just a touch because it is lightning quick up close. But the fall off is pretty significant. So I'm okay with the TTK. If they want to bump up the length of time for close quarters, then that's fine. Doesn't need to be much, but there were some serious time to death issues where it seemed to be you would get all of the damage from the person that's shooting you in one packet. So like you would be at full health and then just instant dropped from a AR or an SMG that obviously can't one-shot you. So that's an issue.
It honestly reminded me of it reminded me of some stuff that in Battlefield 3, but really Hardline, where you would around the corner stuff, but also, like you said, feeling like you get all of their bullets at one time.
Well,
and there's no time to react.
We don't like to talk about Hardline.
No, I was going to say Hardline's damage model was like it was nuts. The K30 in that game, I forget what the damage output was per bullet, but it shot like 1,200 rounds per minute, and it did like an insane amount of damage. So I don't even know if it was a netcode issue in that game. I think the K30 was just literally killing you that quick.
Yeah, that skeleton can stay in the closet.
Yeah. So
but either way, you're getting hit all at once.
Yeah.
There's no time to react whatsoever.
Yeah, and there were a lot of issues, like you were saying, where you would get shot around corners, or you would get you'd be up shooting somebody, and then you would duck behind one of those deployable shields. I noticed that a lot, specifically with the shields, is I would raise up, fire off a few shots, get a kill, and then drop back behind the shield, and then die once I landed behind the shield.
Yeah. Around corners, that was probably my biggest thing too, was around corners. That I just don't know. I know it's a beta, but I just, at this point in where gaming is at, that I don't know what they need to do to fix that, but I don't think that it should be like that.
Well, and they've shown the ability to improve that or resolve it for the most part in the past, specifically with the community test environment in BF4. We remember how awful the launch of that game was, and then a year or two later, which shouldn't have to be that long, but a year or two later they were able to resolve most of that issues. And I think to this day, BF4, the gunfights and netcode is probably one of, if not the best in the series. So hopefully they can draw some influence from that and get things patched up.
Is it a server tick count problem? Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah, I think, and this is crazy to think about, but when that game launched, it was still utilizing the 10 hertz tick rate that they had in BF3.
Oh,
yeah.
Splitting the hertz. I remember them splitting hertz. You could get into like a 64 hertz.
Yeah, they tested several different tick rates. They had all the way up to, I think, 120 hertz servers, but those were limited to like 8v8 or 12v12. But yeah, I mean, I think bottom line, the minimum should be a 60 hertz tick rate for every server, and that may be what they're using here. So I don't know if it's necessarily a tick rate issue or if it's just something else in the netcode that needs to be patched. But that's another glaring issue that needs to be tweaked. So I guess another big topic of debate that people are screaming about is the map design or the size of the maps. The 3 or 4 that we tested in the beta were all relatively small comparatively when you look across the history of Battlefield. But I've seen a lot of comparisons. People have drawn these charts and shown like side-by-side size comparisons from previous Battlefield maps. And they're really, I think, just my personal opinion, I think as it stands right now, the Siege of Cairo map is very close to an S tier map already. Just me personally. I think it's a solid A+ map, and you can tell that that's their pride and joy for the map they want to showcase the most. It seems to have the most attention to detail that they've put in so far, and you can go back through all the Battlefields and they all had like 1 or 2 maps that they usually used in the beta, or all their promotional stuff that they showcase. And I think for this game, so far it seems like Siege of Cairo is that standout map. But some of the other ones, I think could be. I don't know if there's really. I wouldn't say they need to be overhauled, but there were some issues I had personally, especially the I forget what they've changed the name to. It was originally called Battery. It's the Gibraltar map, Iberian Offensive. I think that's what it's called. That map just has way too much going on personally for me. It's very tiny for a 64-man map, and there's like alleyways everywhere. There's little buildings that people can be in. It's just like you're constantly spinning 360 because you're getting shot from every direction.
Well, I mean, you had COD streamers who were playing Battlefield 6 and enjoying it, and every time they would get to that map, they would say this map is broken. So even for a COD player, no shade to COD players, but even for a COD player who doesn't play Battlefield and plays a completely different game to say that this map's broken, you're gonna have to try to fix that map because it's broken. There's the only flag I would play is B. That's the only flag I would play the entire time, B or D.
Yeah, I think that ended up being kind of our go-to strategy anytime we were on that map was just bouncing back and forth from B to D. And then occasionally you would run up to the C flag and try to clear out that house or that building with a shotgun. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, it was a nightmare.
A and E are just don't go anywhere near it because you're going to have tanks on top of you. And besides the tanks, you've got alleyways and stuff of random people everywhere. And it's not fun. It's too much chaos. There can be a limit on chaos. Just too much chaos.
Yeah. And then the other two maps, we had Liberation Peak, which was the largest of the beta maps, which was still not very large, but that was the kind of the map they had in the beta to showcase the all-out warfare. And I think that one definitely it's a map. It doesn't really stand out either way to me. I think it was okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a map. I mean, there you go. But the on the side of hills. Well, that's what I was going to say. The C flag on that map is kind of the biggest issue because it's literally like one of the highest points on the map. You're up on the side of the mountain, and then you have all the other flags apart from the F flag, but all the other points are down the side of the mountain, so whoever controls the C flag pretty much wins that map on Conquest. And then on Breakthrough on that map, the first sector is a nightmare for the attackers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you start on if you're attacking, you got to go down to the left. If you're defending, you've got to go down and to the right.
Yeah.
Make sure they can't. If you can defend that, then the game's done. And
it's one of those. There's been a history of this in Battlefield. I feel like where specifically in the Breakthrough or the Rush mode, where certain maps, that first objective, you have one path that you can take, and you have one chance right at the beginning. And if you don't get it right away, you're not getting it. And that was kind of the way that A point was on Breakthrough on Liberation Peak.
It acted like Metro a little bit. So where if you don't get it right off the bat, then it's the game's over.
Yeah, I think in general in the beta, on Breakthrough anyway, the attackers had a bit of a rough time.
Yeah.
All right, so then let's see some other things that I had here. Here we go. So this is something that I definitely don't want to be in the full release of the game, but I have a feeling it will anyway, and that's the weapon sling on the assault class, which gives you the ability to carry two primary weapons. So they've
kind of
they've tweaked it and said that they're only allowing you to carry shotguns, carbines, and DMRs as your secondary. I just think the whole thing needs to be scrapped.
Yeah.
I differ, but it's okay.
Do another primary. I don't think it should be any like large weapon. Like it should be smaller weapon, like smaller primaries, if anything.
Yeah, I just from me, this is one of those Battlefield traditionalist moments for me. But I feel like every class in Battlefield you have a primary weapon and then you have 2 gadgets, and that's it.
I think that they should take the DMR and the carbine away, and the only thing you can, only other secondary you can have is a shotgun. That's it.
Yeah,
I think it should, even if you do have a secondary that's a shotgun, it should be limited to something that's like a sawed-off or like something that somebody would carry as a secondary primary.
There you go. You just made my point for me. Is I would say if you're going to do that, then it only needs to be limited to the shorty like we had in BF4.
Yeah. No, I don't think you should be able to have a whole nother carbine running around with that, or being able to pull out a DMR or that kind of that don't. I mean, if anything, you're going to do that, you would have to. Well, that wouldn't even work. But yeah, no, shotguns probably. And you can have a pistol and then a shorty shotgun, but the carbine. But I think that's the only way it needs to stay in. Other than that, they just need to scrap it.
Well, and they kind of backed themselves into the corner. And this was like and the reason they've backed themselves into the corner is their overall class design for this game. I feel like they had to come up with a way to make the assault class interesting or useful. Now that the medic and the support have been rolled into one, that takes away the ability of the assault class to be the medic role, which we had in BF3 and BF4, which personally I think was the way to go. I know a lot of people disagree. I was okay with the class design in BF1 and BF5, where you had the assault that had a lot of the anti-vehicle gadgets, and then you had a designated medic and a designated support. I think medic and support definitely need to be split. I don't like them really being rolled into one. But as it stands with the current class layout, that left the assault class with not really having a purpose other than just killing people. And so by giving them the weapon sling, I feel like that's kind of their way of trying to increase or introduce something useful or unique for that class, and I just feel like it's not really the direction it needs to be in.
Yep. No, I think they're trying to, back in BF3 and BF4, you would need somebody to either give ammo or medic bag or any of that kind of stuff. And you can always never find it. Now, that's still there. It's still prominent. But now you just have one person that's supposed to get everything out, and you can't get any of it from them.
Yeah, and that is one kind of good side effect to rolling those 2 classes into one, is now that the support bag does ammo and health, you do get a lot more instances of people putting that bag down simply because they know it's going to heal themselves. So that's really what you ran into in BF3, is the medic class would throw medic bags down for themselves, not really for anybody else. But now that they're
revive anybody.
Well, yeah, and we still have that, but that's beside the point. So, but having the support bag do ammo and health, at least you can count on there being plenty of bags thrown down where people are just trying to heal themselves, but you can still get ammo out of them. So, I guess if there is a bright spot to it, it would be that there is more chances to get ammo off of people. So, but yeah, I just think personally the assault class needs to be reworked a little bit, where you really don't have 2 primary weapons. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But
yep, I just feel like if you're going to do that, it just doesn't need to be another carbine. It needs to just be some sort of shotgun.
Yeah. On the topic of class design and some of the abilities these classes have, another one that I was not fond of whatsoever is the recon. Their abilities are a little powerful, I would say. You have, to start with, their level 1 is auto spotting. So basically, anytime you ADS or inflict damage on someone, that player is automatically spotted, which I think is stupid.
That needs to go.
I feel like there's not a whole lot of skill involved in that. If anything, in BF4 we had the attachment that you could put on your gun that would automatically spot people, but I feel like that was kind of a choice you had to make, where you're giving up the benefit of another attachment on your gun to have the ability to auto spot people. But just simply baking it into the class where, hey, if I just aim at somebody, that person's automatically spotted, and I didn't have to do anything. I feel like that's a little silly.
Yeah, well, you add that.
That's it. You personally, you might not even see the person, but it'll just auto spot it. You're like, oh hey, someone's there.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and you add that on top of the UAV. I mean, everybody's getting spotted if there's a recon around them.
Yeah. Well, at least the UAV is their tier 4 or their power up. You have to kind of earn that. So I'm okay with that. But then I think it's either tier 2 or tier 3. They get the fatal headshot, which no, remove that immediately.
Yes, please, for the love of everything, from coming from someone who uses the recon class the most, please get rid of that. That is the stupidest thing that has ever been put into a Battlefield game. I mean, it completely ruins sniping battles, because I love the sniping battles, having to measure, having to figure out, well, if I pull my sights up to this, and you get, sometimes people get a lucky shot, and it's so stupid.
Well, speaking of lucky shots, the next topic is going to well, that's a topic, but while we're still talking about the fatal headshot, so I just feel like there's no readability for that. I have no way to know whether the sniper that I'm peeking has that perk unlocked. So I just feel like that's another aspect that hurts the readability of the game. And I feel like there's definitely other ways they could, or other perks they could give the recon besides that. Now,
I know where you're going with this. I already know where you're going with this.
Dug up from the pits of Hades itself, we have the return of the sweet spot mechanic from Battlefield 1. Just no. Why? On the topic of getting a lucky kill, there is no more luck kill than the sweet spot mechanic, where you just happen to be a certain distance away from someone, and you hear all these people like, oh yeah, well I purposely positioned myself. No, you didn't. You didn't know you were that far away from somebody. What a joke.
Yeah, I've been counting. I calculated how far I was within 2 seconds.
Yeah. I knew that guy was going to run across that field exactly 150 meters in front of me. No, you didn't.
And then I smacked him right in the toe because that's where I was shooting.
And you got bailed out. You got bailed out by the game because you couldn't aim at their head. That's just stupid. We don't need that in a modern Battlefield game. I mean,
no, they made the chest up. They made from the chest up. Which between me and you know what I've always screamed. I think throat shots should count for more. But anyway, that's another topic. But from the chest up, they have made it so it's not fun. Like, you used to be able to get like a hit marker, and you're like, oh, this next shot that's it. Now it's like you just get one, or you hit that sweet spot and it's over with. And I mean, sure, you got the kill, but to me, that just kind of took away some of the fun to it.
Well, it's adding more casualness and less skill to the game. And
that's what I'm kind of trying to say.
There was one thing that I picked up. Yeah. There was one thing I picked up from actually Level Cat's video that I didn't even realize, is that there is a way to know if you're in the sweet spot zone of a sniper. And that's if you're looking at a sniper and their scope glint.
Oh yeah.
If their scope glint has kind of, it's like I'm trying to remember. It's like a
green to blue to yellow.
It has like a rainbow type flare to it. If you see the rainbow type flare and not just the white flare, you know you're in that.
You're gonna get killed anyways.
Yeah, you're in the one shot zone. So at least there is a way to read that, as opposed to the fatal headshot where there's no way to know that. At least there is a way to know if you're in the sweet spot zone, but I just feel like we don't need that at all.
Yeah.
There's some unnecessary things that I think they just tried to put in to, I don't know if it's to pull more players in or whatnot. It's just...
I definitely think it is to draw a bigger crowd.
And
it probably help the younger player base too, like the ones that are...
Well, we were
older. I was going to say I'm right on the verge of being in the older category here. Yeah. So speaking for the older crew, no, we still don't need it.
Nope. No, go back to your basics and just give us a game with the basics.
Yeah. Another thing that was in the beta that they've already claimed has been removed from the full release, although we've spotted it in the latest labs build, is double launchers for the engineer class.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. There was if I'm not mistaken, there was a blog post or some kind of communication that they said that was removed from the engineer class, where you can't carry a RPG and a Stinger, which you could in the beta, which was completely busted and broken. They said they removed it, but in the latest labs build that was leaked, that was still in the game, so it's a little concerning, but hopefully that is not in the release build, because that is broken.
Yeah, Stingers are broken also.
Well, yeah, in general. I mean, I've always despised Stingers. Like, be a man, use an RPG. But anyway, no. So yeah, just the engineer definitely does not need the ability to carry 2 launchers at one time for balance reasons, obviously.
I don't think in real life that's even possible.
Well, I mean, it's we're not gonna draw real life comparisons here, because then you're gonna open up the whole milsim crowd. We don't want that either. But
no.
So yeah, not gonna spend too much time on that. We're just hopeful that they stay true to their word, and you don't have the ability to carry 2 launchers.
What about flying?
Oh
in
Lord,
general?
the vehicle mechanics. I think of all of the base mechanics in the game, vehicle mechanics are definitely in the worst spot.
Yeah.
Specifically the aerial vehicles, the helicopter and the jet. I think the helicopter definitely is in the worst spot. The flight mechanics are not good at all. It's just a flying bus and does not feel good. And you're pretty much a sitting duck, at least on Liberation Peak in the beta you were anyway, because as we stated, engineers were carrying RPGs and Stingers, and the map size kind of forced you immediately into the action, so you're pretty much always locked by something, and you had no maneuverability to dodge anything, so it was just not a very fun experience. So
I feel like they're out of bounds also. Like, if you're trying to get away from something, their out of bounds was really short too.
Well, I mean, you could get to the edge of the mountains, especially up on the. I learned later on from watching some other players, you could get above the sea point up into the mountains. You could go behind the mountains, but there were still instances where it felt like people were locking you behind the mountain. So I don't know if there's like some kind of whatever you would call that in game design, where the mountains should be obstructing the ability for the player to lock you. It's like it wasn't registering as a solid object. But yeah, it was just not very enjoyable. So I think of all the things in the game at this point that need the most attention and love is vehicle mechanics. And I think I say the easiest fix. I'm not a game designer, so I'm just speaking out of my butt here. But if we could just get it back to the BF4 helicopter physics, we'd be in a lot better state than we are right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like them being able to put some assist on it, just to help learn. I am not the best. I am terrible at flying. I've never been good at flying, but I do feel like the being able to put assist on there to help a little bit for some people is okay, but the mechanics in general need to be fixed.
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be still needs to be a skill gap in the vehicle play. That's kind of what I think makes a good balanced vehicle experience. Is you want it to be approachable, where people can hop in and have fun, whatever. But you also need that added skill gap for the high-end players to be rewarded and have that longevity that keeps them coming back and playing more and more. Because if it's just like 2042's mechanics, where anybody can hop in and go ham in a Little Bird, that's not really engaging.
No, it was always good to see, like in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, you get somebody in the Little Bird or the attack helicopter, and you immediately knew whether they were good or not. And the good ones, you weren't going to get down.
Yeah. And then you always had the vocal minority of players screaming about helicopters being overpowered and, oh, I've shot 15 stingers at it and it still won't die. Well, back to my original statement, be a man, use an RPG. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, and the people screaming that most of the time don't realize that that person on the other end has probably had many hours in that vehicle and knows exactly what you're about to do.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much covers the vehicle mechanics. The tanks are okay. I still am not a fan of the delayed turret movement. I know that's kind of their way of trying to make it more real to life as far as the way a tank's turret moves, but I just think it feels nasty. Like, it doesn't feel good at all.
Yeah,
But
it shouldn't be that way.
from
You gotta at least have a little bit of an arcade to it. Like, it can't be super realistic, like you said, because then you're bringing in milsim stuff, and it's not really Battlefield.
no. So I think it's the tanks were probably in the best state of all the vehicles, but definitely could still use some work.
I actually think I only played just a couple of rounds of Rush. So
Well, and I don't blame you, because Rush, unfortunately, is not in a very good state.
yeah, that's why I only played 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I went back to Conquest.
Definitely hurts my heart to see, because that was always my favorite mode in BF3.
Yes.
I feel like ever since BF3, Rush has just been kind of on a decline.
Yeah. 4 was okay.
Yeah,
But
it was
I
okay,
think
but
just kind of it got put on the back burner after Battlefield 3. I don't think they really focused too much on it.
no. And I think a lot of it has to do with the map design, because you had several maps in BF3 that were specifically designed for Rush, and I don't think we've had that since then. Everything has just been kind of designed for Conquest and the bigger modes, and then they just try to fit Rush and these other modes into the same map, and it doesn't work very well.
It actually, I mean, I feel like you should at least, like in each game, you should maybe have at least 1 or 2 maps that are specifically Rush related. That way you can keep that game mode alive, because there's a lot of people. I mean, it was a really popular game mode with Battlefield 3. So I don't know why they stopped.
Well, and especially in the competitive scene, that was like Squad Rush was the competitive scene.
Yeah.
Now I think Domination's kind of taken over, but I definitely, if we could get back to a more focused Rush mode, that would be awesome.
Well, you know, the one thing I was thinking about the other day, I've watched quite a few videos of people playing and stuff, and you know, the one thing that I was thinking about is we used to be able to, and I saw a little bit of this, so it's not completely out, but like with Rush, there was no real way to, like, back in the day, you could get behind people with the LMGs and stuff and go and I didn't really see, there's no real pathways for you to really get behind. There'd just be too many people. You can't even get to the objective most of the time. At least the two rounds I played, there was no really getting to the objective. One I attacked and one I defended. And the defending one I just left because it was not fun.
Yeah, and that all goes back into the map design. Several of them, especially I think the worst one overall definitely was Empire State, which I was surprised, because I really felt like that was going to be very good for the smaller game modes, specifically Rush. But right away I could tell that it was not very well thought out, and there's several incom placements on that map that are just like, what are we doing? We had I think it's the second set. It's the one inside the building, but basically the two MCOMs were literally like 10 feet apart.
Yeah,
and
it's the set. Yeah, you go from the outside, you go right inside the door, and they're both in that room with the big circular thing. They're like right there.
Yeah, and then the last sector, one of the MCOMs is within like 5 feet of the defender's spawn.
Yeah, and there's no getting to it.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's kind of one of those things where you could tell they didn't design these maps for Rush, and they're just trying to fit it in there. So, hopefully, in the seasonal content, if we get some additional maps, that they'll be more focused on Rush, Or who knows? They may, since they seemingly are open to bringing back a lot of classic maps. Maybe we can get some classic Rush maps brought back.
Yeah, well, and you're talking about the MCOM being right there at the enemy's spawn. It's that way with Liberation Peak and Breakthrough. When you get to that last objective, going on top of the mountain right there, where F normally is, and in Conquest,
Yeah.
you're on top of their spawn. Like it's essentially in their spawn.
Yeah, which in some ways kind of makes sense because that's like the last stand of the defenders. So I can somewhat understand that, but yeah, a lot of the layout in Rush was just not thought out very well.
Yeah.
So I guess to wrap it up, there was a blog post they put out after the beta ended, just going over things they learned in the beta test and feedback that they were given and things they're changing. So starting off with the weapons, they said they're making some adjustments to try and deliver a more consistent and rewarding gunplay experience, including a general pass on recoil and tap fire characteristics across all weapons. And I think that is a very good change, and I'm all for that. The guns did seem a little bit beamy. I didn't feel like there was a ton of recoil, and there was still at medium to longer ranges. I found myself having to tap fire a little bit, but it still was nothing like it was in BF3 and BF4. And anything to kind of further increase the skill gap with the gunplay, I'm all for that. So, yep, there were several guns I feel like needed a little bit additional recoil, and the spread at range could be increased a little bit, at least for the full auto penalty, just to bring back a little more of the tap fire and bursting. And then additionally, the 870, or I guess it's the M87A1 in this game, now requires more pellets to secure a kill. So there's your shotgun nerf, which oddly enough doesn't really say anything about slugs. So I'm glad. I'm kind of glad because I think the slugs were okay. I know the vast majority of players would argue with me on that, but I feel like the slugs have a little bit more skill required. That's probably going to cause some laughs, but yeah, the buckshot up close especially was just nuts, and that definitely needed to be adjusted. So I think having more pellets required to secure a one-shot kill is a good thing. Let's just leave the slugs alone, please, because we haven't had fun with slugs since BF3.
Yeah.
Hey, it even brought Robus out of retirement.
It did.
Yeah,
I was about to say that.
Sniper shotguns are back.
Sniper shotguns. Yeah.
And then here's probably the biggest cause of discussion or arguments I've seen is they have tweaked and changed the movement a little bit.
Things we didn't ask for.
Yes, I was going to say I don't know a whole lot of people that really asked for this or felt like there was anything wrong with the movement. The only thing I noticed in the beta was the physics glitch where you would be walking on the side of a rock and then get catapulted a mile up into the air.
Yes, or the old, well, it's not really even part of movement, but I did notice that with the rocks they were glitchy to where somebody died and you could peek around them and you'd have the body slung at you.
Oh yeah, but those are good times.
Yes.
So they say they have adjusted movement to create a more balanced traditional battlefield experience. Momentum, especially horizontal speed carried from a slide into a jump, has been reduced, and there's now a greater penalty for consecutive jumps, which lowers jump height when jumps are spanned, which I think was, I may be wrong, but I think that was in BF4 as well. It felt like, because in BF3 everybody did the bunny hop run, like that was the quickest way to traverse, but
still trying.
Yeah, I mean that's like been hardwired into my brain. As much as I try not to, I just
a
lot of times
bunny hopping all over the place.
Oh yeah, and that was one of the biggest things I noticed in the beta was if you jump while you're ADS'd or like any sort of drop while you're ADS, your crosshair would go everywhere. So the only way I found to get a jump peak kill was if you're hip firing, because if you're ADS when you jump, when you land, your crosshair is going from the bottom of the screen all the way up to the top.
Especially also, and it gets even worse if you're being suppressed.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So yeah, they have lowered the jump height when you spam the jump button, and then firing while jumping or sliding will also result in increased inaccuracy, which, as I just said, I felt like it was already pretty punishing. So I don't know why they thought that needed to be increased, but maybe they saw some things in their data that we didn't realize. So I don't know. Overall, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it plays in the full release.
I just hope this is not a thing where the beta went great and I'm just praying that the drop does not.
Yeah, we don't want a hardline 2.0.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But
if anybody played the original June beta for hardline, and then
was,
Oh my god.
so much fun.
Yeah, the Battlefield 4 DLC, as people called it,
Yeah.
which it really was, but
it really was, but it was so much fun. And then you get the drop and it's just horrendous.
yeah. Parachute physics also were retuned, which is great to see. That definitely needed to be adjusted, because you pull your parachute in the beta and you would instantly be going 150 miles an hour. I mean, it was the most bizarre thing ever. And then that also contributed to some of the map exploits, where it was like if you jumped and pull your parachute, you would like instantly glide 10 feet further up into the air. It was really bizarre.
Yeah.
So they have readjusted and retuned the parachute physics, thankfully. And then the last thing that I think is worth covering is the maps. So unfortunately for one of our fellow comrades here, the map exploits have been patched. You're no longer able to reach the rooftops and venture out of bounds on areas that were not intended to be used for gameplay. So RIP.
There's a spot, I can't remember what map. I was watching, like I was talking about the Spoofy Brit. I can't remember what map it was, but he was able to clip underneath like a set of stairs and was just jumping out. I mean, somebody would run by and he'd jump up and just kill him and then fall back in.
I believe that was on the Gibraltar map. There was a one corner of one of the buildings. There was like a open spot from the, I guess the floor texture was missing or whatever, and you could go underneath the map right there, and they called it the pit. So yeah.
Yep, Siege was the most fun. I personally think they should have just embraced that and it made that part of the map to where you could get up there. I mean, be able to. I mean, that's just my opinion. I know it's probably a sucky opinion, but it's still my opinion.
And that's fine.
I mean,
yeah. See,
like certain rooftops and stuff should be accessible, just because that's.
Because there's only one rooftop that you can get on.
But
no, there were multiple. If you used your parachute, you could get on all of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying. Like when we had when you put the spawn beacon on the bridge, all you'd have to do is just go and hit parachute right after you jump off the bridge, and you immediately are 10 feet higher, and you can get on just about any of the roofs that are next to it, and then you can just parkour your way all the way across the map on the roofs.
Yeah.
So I don't think you should be able to do that, but I think there should be, plenty of access for some rooftops. That way you can have some have proper recon play.
Well, I just think that if the rooftops of those buildings was not intended to be accessed, then the easiest solution to me would just be to make all the rooftops out of bounds. So
yeah,
that may be what they've done here. So either way, they have addressed that. So on launch, hopefully there's no game-breaking exploits when it comes to map layout. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one.
Just gonna ask one more thing.
Yeah.
Before we end it, what about the incendiary launcher.
Oh, the thermite launcher.
With the thermite.
Oh,
launcher
the thermite launcher.
that stuns you and you can't move.
Well,
on fire.
And it really wasn't just limited to the thermite launcher. It seemed like every type of explosion in the game, if you were hit by something that it was exploding, you got locked into place for a few seconds. Which, no.
I hope they fix that.
Yeah, definitely. So I really don't care particularly to have an incendiary launcher in the game at all, but if they're going to have one, we definitely don't need to be locked in place where the guy can instantly reload it and hit you again before you can get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that shouldn't be like you're walking through mud.
No. But yeah, so all things aside, I think the game is in a great place to start with. It's awesome to be excited for a Battlefield game for once. I know we've probably combined on this channel all have probably over 15 years experience playing Battlefield all the way back to Bad Company.
Thousands of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to say that this is probably the most excited for a Battlefield launch I've been since probably BF4.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the last time I think we were excited for Hardline until Hardline, but BF4 really.
Yeah. So I just hope that the launch all goes smoothly and the seasonal content is very solid and comes at a decent rate. We don't need to be waiting 4 to 5, 6 months for new content. So hopefully, and it looks like from some of the stuff that was data mined that they've already got some new maps and some things lined up for seasonal content, which is good to see that they've already got things ready to go, or at least close to being ready to go.
Yeah, and hopefully with the BR coming, that does allow them.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about the BR.
We didn't talk about the BR.
Maybe that'll be for the next episode.
Yeah, well, and hopefully with the BR, they actually have some support, unlike the others. But
well,
like
given the current leadership of the Battlefield franchise, I definitely think there will be plenty of support for the BR. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that will wrap things up on this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and like I said, we may continue this in the future, and who knows, this may be a regular for the channel now. So anyway,
like and subscribe.
yes, see ya.
See ya.